3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Hash Graph. For everything Hedera Hash Graph related, with Peter Uliano, Mark Lombardi, and Jacob Williams.
Hello, this is Mark Lombardi and Peter Uliano, and we're here with the Hash Graph, and it's just the two of us today. Jacob Williams is doing some kind of heavy labor, I think. He's insulation or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But he's working hard, so he's not here, and we're not working hard, so we're here. So. All right, so I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on this past week. I know you went to Miami.
Did
tell us a little bit about that shit show?
Yeah, I mean, I put an article up on Hbar.news. It was kind of mind-blowing to Jacob and I. Out of all the vendors there, and out of about 100 people we spoke to, nobody knew what Hbar or Hedera was.
Yeah, that's
nobody.
Tough.
And there was an XRP guy who knew, but he was like, "Coming to the yacht party? You coming to the yacht party?" Like, everybody there was like we were there to talk about projects and talk about Hbar.news, and everybody's there was like, "You coming to the yacht party?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah, it's all yachts and Lambos.
Yeah.
I think of that as just a caricature of the scene, but I guess when you get down into Miami, that's what it's really all about.
Yeah, it's it's different down there. I got to say, I mean, I don't usually complain about money either, and we ate at an expensive restaurant one night, my wife, and kids, and I, and then the next night we went to a pizzeria and it cost $110, and I was like, why are we even going to a pizzeria? Might as well keep going to the expensive restaurant. Right. It was like $10 more.
Yeah, we went with the kids into New York City a few weeks ago, and we had a nice dinner out, and it was, I was actually surprised it wasn't more expensive than it was. It was, around probably like 125 or something like that, or maybe somewhere in that range. But we don't really drink, so it's not, once you start taking wine off the list and beer off the list and stuff like that, the price of going out can come down drastically. But yeah, I remember we used to go out, it's easily $200 bill on a fancy dinner. Anywho.
Yeah, but as I was down there, besides nobody knowing what Hbar or Hedera is, we educated a few people. I mean, there was one thing. It's on the article on Hbar.news. There was this site that's like, I guess they're in competition with CoinMarketCap, and they're like, but we don't take bribes from anybody, and we rate the coins based on fundamentals, security. So I was like, you have Hbar listed? He was like, well, let's see. And they typed it up, and Hbar had an F. And I was like, why does Hbar have a grade of an F? And so we start looking, Jacob and I, and I'm like, well, you have it listed as closed source. I'm like, it's not anymore. I'm like, so that's wrong. And they were like, but to his credit, the guy, he's like, let me email them right now and tell them to change it, which bumped the fundamentals up from a D to a C because we informed him of that. But they're like, it's centralized. And that's when Jacob went off. He's like, how is it centralized? He's like, that's the definition of decentralization. So, it's
because people don't understand, and unless every single person has a vote on what's going on, they don't see it as decentralized. Not realizing that that's not decentralization, that's chaos. And you're never going to wind up with a platform that achieves anything if everyone in the world has something to say about it.
Yep.
Because most people are stupid.
And that's what I say about everything. People don't realize what they ask for. People think anarchy is decentralization. People talk about a DAO and they're like, oh, it's controlled by the people. I'm like, there's probably somebody in charge somewhere. There's somebody pulling the strings.
Yeah. I mean, so my original definition of DAO, when I had thought of what a DAO was, when I first started thinking of DAOs, was like I think of like a taxi, right? An autonomous vehicle that is owned by a share of people, but it collects all of the revenue on its own and does the whole thing. Like it's a self-driving car and it makes its own money, and some people own a share in it. And I kind of thought of that as what a DAO is, but it doesn't really seem like that's what is happening in DAOs, though. They seem very different than that.
Well, because you gotta think of it like if somebody's setting up a DAO, right? Let's say I'm setting up a DAO for anything. Hey guys, I'm making a DAO, and everybody that buys in, we all have control. But there has to be somebody there to run the website. There has to be some, to manage it, and it's usually that person who's like, "Hey, I'm starting a DAO." So,
well, I guess
I don't know.
Right. I guess, right. Even like Hedera, it has to start on, everything needs some kind of path towards decentralization. So I guess when things are starting out in the DAO world, they're probably less DAO than they will be as things progress into the future. I don't know. What are your thoughts on staking? Because we have staking live on Hedera now with Stater.
I haven't been following too closely. I know it went live today because you told me, because I've been kind of out of it. But I don't know. I mean, if you can make money off of your HBAR, sounds good to me. And they're backed by the foundation. I see the foundation talking about it and everything. So, I mean, I think it's a good thing.
And I think
I share my concerns like you.
Yeah, I mean, it on the surface, it looks like a very legit project. I did see some stuff on Twitter where they had actually gone and verified the smart contract that's inside of it to make sure that it's a sound contract. So again, I haven't looked at it. I couldn't tell you if it was a good contract or not, even if I did have an opportunity to see it. But it seems like everything checks out, and everybody. Yeah, it seems like it's a project that's on the up and up and has checked all the boxes that they're supposed to check before you do something like get into DeFi, which is something. The
sun is coming right in my window.
Oh man, that's why you got to lock yourself inside a basement like me.
Yeah. How does staking work exactly? I mean,
it was a super easy process. So you just go onto their website and you put in you connect your wallet with Hashpack wallet, just like you would normally on any other kind of marketplace. And then it brings up a little thing that says how much HBAR do you want to stake, and it's limited to 1,000 HBAR per transaction right now. So you put in 10, 100,000 HBAR, and then it spits out Hbar.x, and you have your HBAR staked. And then you earn your whatever 4, 6. I don't know whatever the APY is.
Are they gonna? Do you know if they have plans like Crypto.com and all those things you're gonna be able to get a debit card and everything? Or
I have no idea. I know that
it'd be cool to have an HBAR card.
I know that they have staking on other. I think it's Tezos or some. Maybe it's not Tezos. I don't want to missay what the other platform that they're using.
I'll check
so
right now.
They have something. They do have one that's live. Hedera just went live. Terra. Okay, yeah, Terra Luna. Is that it?
Yeah, I think.
And
then Terra Luna.
And then something else is going to be going live as well.
Phantom.
Phantom. Yeah.
Yep.
That's another hot topic.
But what I mean is, and I might be ignorant or just an idiot, but like, how does staking work? Like, how do they have the money to give you money?
I mean, I believe it works like a bank in that you give them money and then they lend it out to other people and charge interest on what they lend out. And then you hope that people don't default on it, and then they're able to make money back. But I do know that they have money from the HBAR Foundation, or HBAR from the HBAR Foundation. Yeah. So I imagine that's kind of helping to pay some of those early rewards until they can get their infrastructure up and running. But again, I don't know that there's a lending mechanism. I don't know where the lending mechanism is in these platforms. They just seem to collect money, but I have no idea who they're lending it out to, or I don't know. Everybody just seems to say liquidity, and then that makes everything better. I don't
Another one of those buzzwords.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's
I'm
it's
trying to.
it's it's meaningful to the people who understand finance, but to people who don't understand finance, it's just just
All
wow.
right, so I think they're gonna earn it. So I'm like going as fast as I can through their light paper, and I see lotteries, fantasy leagues, and games. So I'm assuming that's how they're gonna make the money to pay out the rewards.
Gotcha. So, all right.
Could be wrong.
Yeah. So I guess is that a financial institution then, or is that just some kind of a rewards program for a game company?
Yeah, I don't
Right,
know.
because I don't know that I would necessarily. I mean, it's great for games to play to earn games, which I think are awesome, but I wouldn't necessarily call that decentralized finance. Um, but nor would I call
True.
gambling like straight up gambling. I mean, you can argue whether or not being in crypto is gambling, but gambling is gambling. If you're using crypto, then it's still gambling. I wouldn't consider that decentralized finance.
Yeah.
I consider it gambling. But
Which, by the way, since we're on here, I'm going to say it again, just in case any devs watching. I would love an H-bar poker game.
yeah,
So,
desperately. And I keep on thinking about like those gather.town rooms and stuff like that where you can sit down and play
yeah.
poker, and just how awesome it would be to have like a token gated virtual space that people can go into and sit down and either play poker, or there's a whole bunch of different simple games that they have within those VR, not VR, but virtual worlds that you can
Yeah.
kind of hang out in, browser based stuff that's pretty simple.
I think if one doesn't come out, I'm going to have to pay somebody and get an H-bar poker
Yeah,
game
I
made.
would. What's the crazy thing is that it's the hardest part is just finding somebody who can do it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that it's actually super difficult to do. I mean, there are templates for chess game, or poker games and chess games out there.
Yeah, the chess game
So,
too. Like they should have it out, man.
yeah, that's right. They had done a chess game a while ago, but it was only ever on testnet, and it's like, okay, great. Did it work on testnet? I haven't heard anything else about it. But I would, I'd sit around and play chess with some other, HBAR community people. Why not?
Yeah.
I like games. I spend too much time playing other games that I'm not a part of the community, and it's just people yelling at me and telling me like I suck and to uninstall. So, so at least I feel like if I was playing chess with other Hedera people, they would have the common decency not to call me an idiot and tell me to kill myself. I mean, they might beat me badly. I'm not great at chess, but I'm sure.
No, it's true, man. I was playing. I play Call of Duty with my son, and he also plays Rocket League.
Oh,
And like on some of these games, like you got to mute people because all of a
Rocket
sudden
League
they're
is-
like, your mom's ass. I'm like, what the hell?
Right. Yeah, it's really bad. And I think so. I'd love to play Rocket League with your son. Do you know what his rank is?
No, I don't.
We'll find out. Maybe
All right.
Maybe we'll set up a time that we can.
He's
play.
pretty good. Well, he's better than me,
Yeah.
but I'm not that good at it.
It's a fun game, and that's a game that I think is ripe for NFTs. That is where NFTs should exist. I should be able to buy my Rocket League car skin and have it as an NFT and freely trade it on an open market.
Yeah.
That would take a lot of liability and responsibility off of it's Epic Games, right? Because it's the same company that does Fortnite now owns Rocket League. So I mean, they're a huge opportunity, but the chances of them going with a platform like Hedera is, I don't know. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, no, but all of these, like even Call of Duty, like you play and they're like, hey, buy this, and it's a skin for a gun. Like buy this new gun. It's has icicles hanging off of it. But like you should be able to buy it as an NFT and trade it. You should be able to
But there's so much, but I guess there's backlash from the gaming community against NFTs. And what I don't understand is like, sure, your vision of what NFTs are, that vision sucks. So I understand why those people don't like NFTs. But you're telling the people who have a real reason to have NFTs that they shouldn't do it. And it's like, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't know. There is no downside to you owning your.
Well,
your.
I think all it's ignorance. I mean, people hear NFT if they're not in crypto, and they hear two things. They're like, "Oh, you're killing the environment," and we're not on Hedera. And they hear, "Oh, crypto's the devil." Like, crypto's bad, but only criminals use it.
Well, the other thing I think is I think that people see it as a pretentious. It's people spending too much money on things that they don't need. And when it comes to artwork, yeah, I mean, that's the case. Some people have too much money and they want to buy really expensive artwork. And in the NFT case, I think that, people are buying subpar artwork a lot of times just because it's in NFT. But in the gaming space, it makes so much sense. And I don't understand why those people are fighting it tooth and nail. I almost wonder if they're not fighting it tooth and nail. I wonder if it's the video game industry that is pushing the narrative that their customers are giving backlash against NFTs because they don't want to give up the closed ecosystem that they have for their games.
Yeah.
Because then they relinquish control.
There's a lot of funny things about crypto and about people who aren't in crypto. So I don't know why this just popped in my head, but I think because of NFTs and people seeing it as people spending too much money on art and stuff. Have you ever heard of? So when I was down in Miami, there was a restaurant I ate in, which happened to be in the Soho House. Have you ever heard of Soho House?
No.
So Soho House is it's a membership club for, I'm going to say wealthy, even though that's not what they call themselves. They call themselves trendy. But it's like a membership club. You pay $3,000 a year to join, and then you have the right to stay at their hotel. You can't even stay if you're not a member. Right. But it's supposed to be trendy and for creative people, right? And as I'm sitting in the lobby, I was meeting Andrew from Tune FM there, and I'm sitting there and somebody next to me is talking. They're like, this place went downhill. Look at those guys in suits. It's all crypto bros in here now. And I was like, and they were like, they said something like they probably are just trying to sell NFTs. And I was like, so these are art people who are supposed to be creative art people. And they're sitting there talking about, oh, there's too many crypto bros. And I bet you they're trying to sell NFTs. And I'm like, isn't that a creative outlet also? I mean,
well, because again, there's a big juxtaposition between the traditional art market and what is happening within the NFT community. But I think it's a lot like Banksy is a big name right now in art, right? But street art was for delinquents and deviants and right, it was a subculture type of thing. Yeah. And that's what NFTs are right now. Now Banksy is super popular, but this NFT stuff is thought of as, oh, this is for degenerates and
yeah. And hey, speaking of Banksy, because it applies to NFTs too, he has a documentary. I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore. It's called Exit Through the Gift Shop. If you've never saw this, or if anybody watching has never seen it, you have to go watch it, because it's Banksy, and Shepard Fairey, who's another street artist, and now he did the Obama Hope poster or whatever, but because he used to be a graffiti artist before he went mainstream, but and they take this guy, Banksy does, who wants to video them and follow them around, and he's like a super fan, he's like a groupie, and Banksy's like, why don't you throw an art show? Like, they never show Banksy, but he's like, why don't you throw an art show? So this guy, he calls himself Mr. Brainwash. He gets a battery in his back from Banksy. He starts tagging everything, puts a billboard up, says as seen with Banksy. And all of a sudden, this nobody
Is all of a
is selling
sudden.
paintings for $3 million, like, and it's nothing. And I think that was the point I think Banksy had by making this documentary is like a lot. Even the art world itself does not know what they like, and they go by what people tell them. And
Well,
I
and
don't know.
that
It's worth a
right.
watch.
The old guard will always think that the new guard is stupid and doesn't know what they're doing, and then the whole thing just keeps on shifting down an endless spectrum that is always changing. And I think NFTs are in that space right now where it's a very cultural thing. It's a very community driven thing. There are these little pockets that I think are eventually going to start swelling together as it matures. And then you're going to start seeing like the next Vans brand come out, and you're even starting to see like I think what Weird Trip Club is doing is really cool. I don't know if you saw what they had just released,
with the
but they're
with
doing
the sweatshirts and
yeah, they're
stuff.
doing one of one sweatshirts, right? They look cool. They're people are gonna wear them around. It's gonna be a social piece, and that's when stuff is really. I think you're gonna start
And
seeing communities fuse together more. You're gonna start seeing real world fashion take hold of it. Um,
yeah, well,
and
that's what I was just gonna say. And I'm not trendy by any means. Like
yeah,
I don't
you
care.
and me
Like
both.
I'm not. I mean, I'm wearing a Hello Future T-shirt,
Right.
but today I was talking to a friend of mine in New York, and he was talking about Supreme. And I've heard of it. I've
Yep.
seen the logo before. So I asked him because he's the kind of person that goes out and buys $500 Jordans or something. I was like, "What is with Supreme?" I was like, "Why is it so valuable?" And he's like, "Oh, it's the secondary market." I was like, "Secondary market for clothes?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "So they only put out like 100 of each T-shirt." He's like, "People get online to
Yep.
buy them, and then they sell them the next day." And I was like, "Why aren't they doing NFTs?" That was the first thing that popped in my head. I'm like, "That's that's NFT territory. Limited edition, secondary sales." I'm like,
Yeah, and I think you'll start to see brands jumping on board. You're gonna, especially premium brands like Prada and Gucci, and I think you'll probably see it happen. You're definitely gonna see it happen in the watch side of things, especially when
yeah,
you have somebody like Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary,
yep.
talking openly about having a watch market on NFT.com.
Yeah, but that's another thing. Like, I mean, I have a digital watch. I don't have like I mean, not a digital watch. I have a
You don't
smartwatch.
you don't have an FP
Mine is
Journe?
no, mine is I have a Garmin that I wear every day, but
Yeah,
it would be cool if I could see my NFTs on my watch. That would be cool. I'd
that'd
like
be
to have
nice.
that.
So
But
that's actually going around. There's somebody who's kind of formatting theirs so that it's easy to, maybe it's the koala thing,
oh, okay, Koala Club.
koala club maybe, or there's another maybe it's the Lil Universe. There's so many cute little NFTs out there that are
So
just
many
like
cute
these
little NFTs.
like little adorable freaking things. But anyway, yeah, I saw one of those where people were displaying them on watches, and then you've got other stuff like the what's the Toco Max or
Oh, Toco Max. Yeah, he was
yeah.
tokenized in Mexico.
Yeah, I think he does watch stuff too. I think they might be involved with
Oh yeah, I think
watch
I
project.
think I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
somebody
saw
made a
that.
watch. Somebody's making a watch for maybe a Slim Gringo. Is that I'm trying to
Yep.
remember community names that are involved with these projects. So I think Slim Gringo might have been one of them. And then H Barbarian, I think the watch. It might have been partly designed by him.
Coin Man?
Coinman, yeah, I think so.
Oh, I didn't know he like drew and designed stuff. I
No,
didn't
no,
know
this
that.
is like 3D model. They have like a 3D
Oh
model
wow.
of almost looks like a Rolex, but it's a very finely detailed timepiece, and you can,
Hmm.
zoom in and move it around, and it's a
Wow.
standard 3D JLB file, I think. But it's
Hmm.
it's very detailed. So I think you're going to start seeing real watch brands take a look at stuff like that and say, yeah, we want to have a digital representation like that of our actual FP Journe or Rolex or what, whatever,
and see,
$1 million wristbands people are trying to sell.
And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with like these big companies making NFTs and giving them value, but like I'm not okay with, and I don't know how you feel about it, like McDonald's, get our McRib NFT, or like Coca-Cola, type in this code and you get an NFT because you're giving away millions. So there's no value to that NFT in my eyes.
Well, what I think is going to happen is NFTs, there is a wide range of what an NFT can represent. And on the, you've got $1 million real estate assets that can be tokenized, but you also can tokenize coupons, right?
Yes.
So McDonald's, I think, will fall into we should just be doing tokenized coupons. Now, whether or not they're actually NFTs or anything like that, but I cringe at the idea of like a Happy Meal NFT or something like that.
That's what I'm saying.
But it's, why not? If kids are primarily playing with digital avatars within a game, why wouldn't McDonald's partner up with some, metaverse meant for kids 10 and under, to be able to play, a game with, I don't know.
Yeah, my daughter plays this game on her phone, and I'm gonna get it wrong. I think it's Blockcraft. I don't know, but she plays this game, and she was like, "Dad, they have NFTs." I was like, "Really? Can I see it?" And she showed it to me, and it's like, buy your NFT for the in-game currency, but you click buy, and I'm like, like it doesn't have any wallet address or anything. So I'm like, oh, they're just calling it an NFT for some reason.
Right.
Like
they're calling their digital assets NFTs, so people will buy them.
Yeah, to be trendy.
That kind of stuff is going to happen too. And there's going to, especially once mass market starts getting a hold of NFTs, there's going to be all kinds of disgusting stuff that happens because there's going to be so many people that don't understand the space that are just going to be like, oh yeah, no, I bought an NFT. It's like, that's not backed by anything, right? That hasn't validated anything. It's just a file that somebody called an NFT and sold to you.
No, yeah. We should make NFTs. Make all our videos NFTs.
Yeah. Well, it's what's funny is
I don't know if anybody watches us though.
You know what? I'm gonna out something right now. That was the initial idea behind Gomin. Was to tokenize YouTube videos. So it was to tokenize a production, right? And so the original idea was you buy or you put up on YouTube or whatever your video media is, and you sell an NFT of something that you're going to produce, and then the people who buy your NFT have funded the production of your next video or the video that you just did, and then there would be a tipping mechanism when that video gets released. So when people watch it and tip it, the tips would get split between the token holders, which would be the people who, paid to fund the production, and then also the YouTuber who retained whatever amount of tokens that they created to represent that asset. So that was the initial idea when we went into kind of do Gomin, and then it shifted over time. We didn't even really talk about like a marketplace in the beginning. That wasn't until you got there, I think, that you really that the marketplace push came in, right?
Oh, I don't think I pushed it though.
No, was there already talk of marketplace by the time you?
Yeah, I didn't push it, but I'm not gonna comment on
that.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna comment.
But
anywho,
but
I just wanted to toss.
Hey, speaking of which, I was just gonna say something. What was I gonna say? Oh man, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something about Tune FM, and now I don't remember what I was gonna say.
They redid their UI, right? And you met with the.
They did. Yeah, and I met with Andrew, but that's not what I was going to say. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Did you see this other thing that came out? And I'm going to put them on blast because they're on a different network than Hashgraph, and Tune FM was out first, and they're calling their token the Jam token. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. What's the service?
I don't know. I'm not that familiar with it.
It's another music streaming service?
It's pretty much the same. Like, they stole Tune FM's idea, and they were like, hey, you know, network. Yeah, and they probably have more money and more connections, and we're like, hey, like, we're gonna do this. I'm looking now because I tweeted it, and I was like, hey, like, you guys are assholes. Where are they? Geo Jam. It says paving the future for the creator economy through DeFi and social media with our Jam token.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough to stop everyone on every chain from. Here's the thing: Jam is a very popular name for is going to be a popular name for a token. Right? Like, you're probably going to find a pot token on every single chain, and you're also going to find so you're going to come across that kind of stuff, but blatantly stealing somebody else's idea on one chain and then just to bring it to another chain is horrible. But you're going to have a whole bunch of scenarios where on different chains the same things are being developed by different people at the same time. It's just, you know, that's the way science and nature works. Everything develops.
It honestly looks like whoever created this, and I'm going to do research just because I think they were spying. It honestly looks like they were like, hey, we like the idea of Galaxy and we like Tune FM. Like, let's make our own and call it Geo Jam. And like, it really does. Like, I mean, if you look at the website, it's geojam.com. Like, they have Mariah Carey there, and it's like the creator economy. And it's like Mariah Carey has 10,000 VIP NFTs. Like, it's really, like, I don't know. It's like a mixture of Tune FM and Galaxy.
I just saw some news about Seeky too. They have a partnership with Algorand now, so I think they're working with Hedera and Algorand, and so I think you're starting to see that some of these platforms that were built specifically with one chain in mind, and I don't know that Seeky was ever built with one chain in mind, but they're starting to adopt multiple platforms to give people options or spread risk, or why not? If it's cheap enough, why not have two copies of what you're doing, have it available on as many networks as you can have it on.
Yeah.
So, and I think Hashport is announced something recently too. I have to go dig through the news on that and see they have some kind of a new thing that they announced. I don't know what it was.
We need more.
We need a council news.
We need a council announcement.
Right? Yes, very much so. Well, and I don't. Again, they've spoken to how less important it is to have to add each incremental gain from adding a new member is diminished. So.
Yeah, I just like the fact that the more big names get involved, the more credibility comes with it. I mean,
I would take a big use case out of a current GC.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. That's what I think we're missing.
And they have to be. They're working on use cases. No matter what anybody says,
sure.
You don't become. I mean, if I have a company that's that big and somebody's like, hey, you want to be a council member for Hedera? The first thing I'm going to say is, what's in it for me? I mean, so they're not council members just to sit there and watch Hedera. They're obviously building on Hedera, and I'm just waiting for these big companies like Boeing or Google to come out with a product on Hedera, a use case, because it will be major. And
I tried to get access to FPOS. They have a wallet in Australia for micropayments and stuff like that. Excuse me. And I've downloaded the app, and tried to use it, but you need to have an Australian phone number in order to do it. So, but right, so stuff is starting to pop up in different areas, but unfortunately, not everybody's going to have.
And I know of a use case coming out that I'm NDA'd, so I can't say, but I think it's a good use case, and I think it'll bring interest back to an old use case. That's all I could say. Damn it.
Yeah. An old use case on Hbar or an old use case?
Yeah, on Hbar. On Hbar. On Hbar, one of our bigger use cases, from people who've been around a while. One of the bigger use cases, because a lot of new people might not know of it, but
it'll be interesting to see what comes out of Swirl. Did you see that they have an Explorer?
Swirls?
Yeah. So they just launched a Hbar Hashgraph Explorer. So I guess like a Dragon Glass competitor.
That's kind of weird that they would compete with Dragon Glass.
But I'm sure they're doing it in a way that they're not necessarily competing with Dragon Glass, but because they're not.
Where is it?
Running mirror node. I'd have to go look it up, but yeah, it's not right on swirlds.com either. If you search hashtag swirlds on Twitter, it'll probably come up. It was within the last couple of days.
Okay. Huh.
But right, so you have to remember that Hbar is going to be launching products and services now in either. I don't think they're going to be necessarily competing with the market, but I think that they're probably going to take the Google route where it's like, this is the flagship service for Hbar. Not everybody has to use it, and maybe it's not priced in a way that's acceptable to the masses, but this is what they're going to show as the template for what everybody else can do. Right? Hopefully they'll be putting some showpieces out, because I'd really love to. Right? There's no reason that Swirlds shouldn't bring back the daily timestamp.
Yeah,
right? I don't know if you got a chance to use the daily timestamp, but that was a really cool use case. And the very first thing that we really saw out of Hbar that was kind of a usable thing. And then it just went, nobody did anything with it. They open sourced the code too. And that's like the stuff that I have a hard time wrapping my head around. There's like a whole bunch of developers out there who are capable of doing really incredible things. There is this template of a pay per use, pay per view news sources, and nobody's taking advantage of it. Hey, that's what Hbar.news should do. Have you guys thought about that?
I was talking with Drop, and they agreed to do it for Hbar.news, and I have to get back to them because I didn't feel like after I talked to them and went through the meetings with them and everything, I was talking to somebody else and they were like, but I'm not going to go to your site and pay for an article. And I was like, I was like, maybe my site is too young and I don't have the audience to do it yet. But it would be, I was exploring the option, and I was going to use Drop to have premium content on the site. So like if I did the interview with Lehman, like, hey, you can access this article for 2 Hbar or something, like something minor. But I didn't do it, but there is the capability, and I do have plans for it, but I just haven't done it.
Well, right. I think where something like that works is at scale when you have someone like the New York Times who has a ton of readers, and they can charge, once you can charge a penny or a half a penny or something like that to read an article, and you have millions of viewers, the person who wrote that article stands to gain a lot. Right?
You're right.
You're talking about a considerably more revenue than you would bring in just from traditional advertising, and you also don't have any advertising. So those people who say like, I wouldn't pay to do that, haven't yet experienced a news outlet that doesn't have advertising on it. And that's
and not only that, And not only that, like, somebody will send me like a New York Times article, and I'll be like, "Oh, this is interesting." And I'll click it, and it'll be like, "To read this article, subscribe for 5.99." I'm like, "I'm not subscribing to your newspaper to read one article." So it solves that problem too, because if it was interesting enough and it said, "Hey, give us 2 cents to read this,"
Right.
I'll be like, "Oh,
Exactly.
I'll give you 2 cents."
Right. And people have in their mind, I'm not going to pay for this because in their mind, I only get to pay for things with a credit card that are over $5. Nobody is going to offer me a service that I can pay with for my credit card that's less than $5. So eh, now that you can do that with a distributed ledger and charge, microtransactions for
Yep.
fractions of a penny, I think I think news is a huge use case for microtransactions. And the template is there for it too. It's like, again, I don't code or anything like that, so I don't know exactly how difficult it is. Probably more difficult than I'm making it out to be. But somebody's already done the hard work of putting the template together, so it's got to be easier than building it from scratch. And it was
Yeah,
cool.
and
It was
do you
cool to use.
remember uh well, I'm trying to think of their name. I'm gonna say it wrong, and I don't wanna because I've spoken to them in the past. I know them. They were doing the books. Anara,
Oh,
is that what
Anara.
it's called?
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So they have their beta out, and from
I'll
what
have
I
to check
understand,
that out.
it's working pretty well, from what I understand. And it the same thing with micropayments. I mean, if you buy a book or a college
Yes.
textbook, right?
Hmm.
You're not going to read for one article if you're doing research this whole textbook. You don't want to pay $150. So with their solution, like micropayment would be like, hey, I want to buy this one chapter of this book because that's all I need.
Right.
And then
Their saying, I think, was as the page turns, the author earns, or something like
yeah, yeah,
that.
I
So yeah,
believe that's what it was.
I
Yeah.
remember talking to him way back in the day, and yeah, it's a great project. I'm glad that somebody's doing that, and I think he'll do really well if he can get a good foothold into the market. And you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think he'll do well. And
I think so.
uh, I know some people in publishing that I emailed about them. So I was like, hey,
Cool.
you need to check this out. By the way, I researched that thing you were just telling me about. So the Swirls Explorer, I think it's called
Yep.
Hash Scan,
Yes, that's it.
and it says coming soon. And from what I understand, it was leaked. Like somebody stumbled upon it on
Yep.
Twitter. That's what it looks like. But I mean, that website was obviously not meant to be found because
Yeah,
even on
because
the top of the web,
yeah, if you go to Swirls, you can't get to that page just through their
yeah,
like menu.
and it says on the top, like in the tabs in my browser, how it says like Google Meet at top or
Yeah.
Hedera. This says hashscan.io, and then in brackets, uh, it has dimensions of the logo. It says 5760 by 324 rows. so yeah, that wasn't meant to be found yet,
Yeah. I
but it's
went
interesting nonetheless.
if you click when I clicked on because it's by default on testnet, so if you click on mainnet, it like brings you to a
Mhm.
page that has like all, weird code type stuff on it. But then every time you go back to it after that, it brings you to the mainnet and you can't get off of it. You can't get over to the regular testnet side to see what it looked like. So I was like,
Interesting.
but right, that's Swirlds taking their first step into, this is a product that we have built. And God, I think that they can wind up. Lehman is so obsessed with
Yeah.
with the metaverse. He's got to build and I think he really wanted someone to build a lot of this stuff first. Like he really
Yeah.
wanted to be the person who just gave the tools to the sculptors and then the sculptors built it. But I think that now that enough time has gone by and not enough sculptors have stepped up to the plate to start building stuff, that I think that Swirlds is going to start cranking out some stuff that they want to see happen and not be
No, I
beholden to
agree.
the
I
rest
think
of the market to catch up with them.
I mean, if you build something that you're very excited about, like Lehman, you build Hashgraph. He's obviously very passionate about it. He's very into it, and I could just imagine though, there must be some frustration there, like, damn it, why aren't more people building like all these
Yeah,
amazing things? Or he has the patience of a god and he just knows,
I think
like, hey, eventually it will come. If you build it, they will come. But uh I
he's
mean, I would
definitely
be
patient.
frustrated.
He's definitely a patient individual, but you'd right in the back of his mind, he has to be saying like, "How are these people not working faster?" But no, but just
And the reason for that
he's
is it's
definitely
just
not saying that because he understands how much work goes into getting something
it's the
developed.
audience. We need a wider audience, and it is growing. And I mean, and you could feel it growing. There are growing
Mhm.
pains within Hedera because there are people that come in and they're like, I see them say to like OGs of Hedera, like, "Who the fuck are you? Don't tell me." And I look at these tweets and I'm like,
How
"Do you
long? Yeah, how
realize who
many
you're talking to?"
days? Yeah, how many days have you been around? Right?
Like, like, I mean, somebody told me the other day, and I'm by no means, I don't consider myself an OG, but I've been
You
around for
are for
a year and
sure.
a half. And somebody said to me the other day when I was trying to explain something, they were like, "Shut up, noob. You don't know anything about Hedera." I was like, "You're right."
Thanks. Yeah, that's an easy conversation ender. Like, all right, you obviously have no idea what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
But yeah,
But I don't.
when you were talking about like the influx of people into Hedera, and you know that things are changing, I noticed that on Zeus, it's been running so slow the past couple of days, and
Has it?
I think that it at least it has been for me. Again, maybe it's my computer, but not every other page is running fine. I think that they're just getting a lot of. My guess is they're getting a lot of traffic on the site, and that they're not whoever their service provider is not they're not an account that's set up for the volume that they're getting yet. So my guess is that they probably are
I'm
getting
not
stuff.
seeing a lot of sales though. Oh, here I am. Oh, they're selling a decent amount. Nothing's outrageous though.
Yeah. Well, and
Like I'm not. Yeah, but I'm not seeing. Somebody told me, and I don't know if this is true or not, and I don't know if it's just on Hedera or not, but they said that in the last like 2 months, NFT sales on Hedera have dropped like 76%. I don't know if that's true, but it's what I've heard.
yeah, I mean, I think you're definitely seeing the prices of a lot of projects are the floor price for a lot of projects are way lower than they were a couple of weeks ago. You know, I know HGraph Punks took a pretty big hit recently. A lot of stuff is that those hash horses, those were like $50, 50 H bar to mint. I've seen them for like 20 H bar. That's less than half of their original mint cost. And the original mint cost was only $50. But I think with a mint
Hmm.
cost like that, what happened is people went in, bought an obscene amount of them, and now they're sitting on them, and then as soon as a few people dump those onto the market's flooded and nobody can sell anything. So everybody that's trying to make a buck back has to, you know, take it at a huge loss.
Hey, I have a question because you just brought up HGraph Punks. So when I was in Miami, I was in Miami and I wasn't on my laptop. I wasn't on
Yep.
Twitter really. And somebody said to me, they were like, "Hey, what's going on between Patches and I don't know, there was some drama or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?" I have no idea what it was, but
Oh no.
I think it was between Turtle Moon and Hash Pack. I'm not sure though, but
Oh yeah, there was some drama around the minting day and the queuing for stuff and people getting kicked out of getting logged out of their Hashpack app and then not and then
uh,
right there was a very short period of time where you had the opportunity to mint. I was able to mint one and I stupidly went and hit view my stats like to show like what your rarity traits were for the punk you just minted, and I should have hit cancel and then just minted a second punk because some people got to mint two. I don't think very many people minted three or more, but I was lucky enough to mint one and I wound up minting like a super rare one.
hmm.
So it was the one that I minted was it's the it's not glitch, but you remember the ones where they had like the ones that were like rainbow throwing up out of them, and then they were like it wasn't it wasn't sequence in the background. I can't remember the name for what the background is called, but it was one of the rarest backgrounds that they had, and all of those have super rare traits that go along with them as well. So yeah, that was selling for like 35,000 Hbar. Granted, nobody bought it, but it's one of the higher priced NFTs in the. So yeah, I was super lucky to get that one. And then so after that, I was like, I don't want to miss out on any of these other projects. And then so I've been minting on a bunch of other stuff that's come out, and I've gotten like nothing from each of them. I got like the plainest of the plain NFT that you could possibly get.
Hey, Wafu is doing a random minting like that too, where it's completely random what you get. So
yeah,
that'll be cool.
Okay.
And I think we should wrap it up.
I think so too.
But I just want to say real quick, Wafu has a contest right now that you could win a Hashgraph card. It's going on for a week. And also Hbar.news is doing a contest for lazy superheroes. You could win one of 10 whitelist spots.
Oh, cool.
That's it.
Awesome. And then I'm just going to make a quick plug for Dpub. On April 22nd, they are going to be doing their second large auction. So a bunch of the Dpub creators, and there's actually going to be creators that aren't on Dpub there as well. There's going to be a whole bunch of other one-off. So some of the bigger projects are going to do special one-of-one NFTs just for this auction. So that's exciting. It seems like awesome. Dpub is starting to make a little bit more of a name for itself and garner a little bit more attention as projects start to launch. But we still don't even have our first 10,000 project launch on Dpub yet, which will be Valley of the Dry Bones, and that launches immediately after the auction. And then after they launch that, they're going to make those 10,000 mint tools available for the Dpub creators so that we can then start minting our own 10,000s. And I think I'll probably do that with Zucouture as well. I wanted to get the project out the door and tested and into people's hands and get feedback and stuff from it as soon as I could. But I also, each one of them is an individual token ID, which is not ideal because the secondary market isn't going to want that. They're going to want all of the NFTs under one token ID, and that really has to get done through like a Hashlips 10,000 mint. So I'm working on a plan with the artist on how we're going to approach that, because we already have a few of the NFTs sold. So I think what we might do is take like the first 10 NFTs that get sold, they get like emperor status or whatever, and then everything else will get minted under the 10,000, and then there'll just be these 10 special ones or something like that. But you're right. We should wrap up. My plug is over. Like and subscribe, comment down below, tell us how you're feeling, and all right.
And if you want to come on the show, hit us up.
Yeah, absolutely.